Sunday morning, and that means it's once again time for the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. I'm Barry Reisman, inviting you to stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement and everything in between, featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne, who has let us know that every house has a story, and Jack has a special guest on the line today, too. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Barry. Here it is, the last weekend of July. I'll tell you what, the summer's flying.
It is. Goodbye, July.
And although it's, it seems to be getting extra hot, I've been always thinking about outside the box. And I'm looking at my plants, I'm looking at my grass, and things are starting to dry out from, the earlier wet season that we experienced in June. But, what I try to say is, if it looks like it's out of season, bring it back into season. So today I want to kind of bring the wow factor to you and want to let you know about some of the things that you can do around your own home, and it's as simple as plant life. And today I have Phil Getty from Boucher and James, which is a Doylestown engineering company, to discuss exterior plant issues. And Phil is with me now, but before we start, I'd like to thank our sponsors, because without them, I wouldn't be able to chat with you today. So Bucksmont Inspections, reach out to Rob Bowie. He's a sewage control officer and extremely knowledgeable in all facets of on-site sewage. So if you have any issues, if your grass is especially lush at this time of year, even though you haven't cut the grass in a week and a half, you may want to reach out to Rob at 215-669-4213. Keep in mind, folks, these systems can run anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000 or more to replace, so you want to always stay on top of it. His website is bucksmontinspections.com. Burrow Exterminating out of Glen Olden, Pennsylvania. They focus on termite and radon testing. Rob Bruno, extremely knowledgeable in both aspects of these items. And you can find him at 610-586-5640, as well as burrowexterminating.com. Pest Blaster out of Hamilton, New Jersey. They do service not only New Jersey, but large parts of Pennsylvania as well. They count on radon testing, mold testing, wood-destroying insect evaluations, as well as pest removal. So if you need their services, reach out to them at 215-295-5555, or the website is pestblaster.com. And again, one of my favorites, brainflushgear.com. If you want to wear anything that's eclectic, and not only for your family reunion, but if you delve into any type of sports or recreational items, they can make it work for you or your group. So you can also reach out to them at contact@brainflushgear.com. And finally, Tri-County Inspection Company. I've been passing the word that Tri-County is now 30 years old. We just had our anniversary literally a couple weeks ago. So reach out to our website at tcinspect.com. Our phone number is 215-295-2030 in the Bucks and Montgomery County areas. Delaware County, 610-296-2004. North Jersey, 609-882-5188, and South Jersey at 856-853-4224. When it comes to home inspections or building inspections, commercial, residential, historical, listing, selling, whatever you need, we can help you with that. So, and please do me a favor, let them know that you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show. And by the way, keep the emails coming at thehousewhisperershow@gmail.com. Podcasts are always available at 24/7 at www.dbam.com. And keep in mind that all of our shows are archived at thehousewhisperershow.com. So if you need any info on anything, visit the email site and or email me, and we'll discuss it. So let's get started. I've known Phil, 20 years, Phil?
Yeah. Hi, good to talk with you again. Yeah, 20 years at least we've been working together. We work in similar fields. I work outside the house, and you work primarily inside the house. Glad to be on the show.
Well, thank you. And just a little bit of background. Phil is a hydrogeologist, again with Boucher and James, which is a civil engineering firm out of Doylestown. They also have landscape architects whose skills are related to the planning of the proper plan for the specific need. So Phil's involvement with septic systems, wet basements, foundation damage, and wells commonly find him dealing with issues related to plants that can be helpful to the homeowner. And Phil also is really cool. He has a really keen interest in gardening and has been on some of the local as well as British radio garden shows. So you can reach his company, Boucher and James, at 215-345-9400. And he deals with engineering, water sewers, as well as landscape architectural needs. So, Phil, let's kick it in, man. You ready?
Sure. Yeah,
I'm
ready.
Okay. Now, we talked about on-site sewage systems. Now, if I have a septic system, may I put plants on the sewage drain field to help dry it out?
Well, a lot of people want to do that. They say, let's put a tree there and it'll pull the moisture out. And as you said, if the grass is especially green or the ground's a bit soggy over your septic system, they think this may be a way to dry things out. And to begin, it's not going to help you out in the winter months when the plants are dormant. So it's definitely not a good idea for a couple reasons. Like you said, call Buxmont Inspection if you've noticed it's soggy or wet over your system, because something's really wrong with the system. It shouldn't be wet or even damp over top of a septic system. But the big worry is on or near a septic system, any trees or bushes, their roots are going to head towards that moisture that's in the septic system and wind up eventually clogging, if not damaging, the piping, the sand mounds, get into the septic tank. So you don't want any large plants near there. Okay to put grass over it and some flowers, but nothing in terms of things that will have large roots. And the big thing people ask is, how far will the roots travel? Most trees and bushes, it travels maybe twice the distance of the drip line of the tree. So that's where the outer branches of the tree would reach. But what we forget is we'll plant this tiny little tree or bush, come back 20 years later, and it's a huge tree that's grown way out over the septic system with roots running up the sides. So keep in mind when you plant something, how big will that eventually get someday? Willows are the worst. They're going to travel, long distances to try to get their roots into moisture.
So I've had two comments from owners. One, if I keep the lawn cut, can I make this kind of like a hill for practicing golf? And at the other extreme, can I just let the grass grow and become more of like a meadow? What are your thoughts?
Either way, the grass is going to transpire, give up just about as much moisture for that septic system, whether it's cut short or long. I don't see a problem with either approach. But keep in mind, too, especially with these sand mounds nowadays, they can be kind of rather obtrusive sitting in somebody's front yard or backyard, is that they have pretty steep sides on them, and there's nothing wrong with, as long as you don't drive a truck over top of it, but you can have, professional landscaper, or if you're careful, add topsoil to the sides of these things to make them look less obtrusive, so it's easier to blend in with the area around. You can put, things up on top like a statue, or some people, we used to plant pumpkins on top and have a little fire pit up there that we enjoyed sitting up on. So you can make it part of your landscape, but just do not put a lot of weight onto the sand mound. Don't put any bushes or trees up there.
How can I best use vegetation to improve the energy efficiency for my home?
Yeah, and that question really is, it's got two parts to it. In the summer, nothing better than having a tree shade your house. You can insulate all you want, air condition all you want, but gosh, a tree shading a house is a wonderful thing because it puts out moisture that's cooling as well as it blocks the sun. But those you want ideally are the deciduous trees, the ones that have leaves that fall off, because then in the winter it benefits by letting the sun come through and warm your house up. So it's a great thing to do as long as you put that on the south side. And I recently planted a tree on the south side, but again, I figured out how large is that tree going to be when it's mature, and I put it, I think about 20 feet or more from the house, so that I allowed for when it got taller, it would do the shading properly, but not have branches coming through the windows or hanging out over the roof. because eventually that tree, parts of it, or the whole tree is going to fall, and you don't want it to crush your house. And then in the interim, you have branches and things coming down that can damage the roof or the skylights, and especially the leaves get in there and clog up your gutters. So that's the one benefit there, and especially if you're ever thinking about photovoltaics. That's what our company does, is we design photovoltaics, generate electricity or warm water on your roof, and you don't want to shade your roof with a tree if you're going to do that, because it doesn't really tolerate shade at all. Then on the other side is the north side of your house is where you plant your conifers, the ones that don't drop their leaves, bushes and yews, hollies, pine trees, that type of thing, and they can really block the wind in the winter months and help a lot in keeping your house warm in that regard.
I think one of the best trees I like for wind blocking are Leland cypresses. They tend to grow rather quick. You can spread them out, 6 to 8 feet apart. They seem to grow at least a foot and a half, both width and height per year, and offer privacy at the same time. But I don't get it, Phil, when landscapers come out and they plant that nice tree 6 feet away from the corners of a home.
Well, what I think landscapers are after is instant landscaping. They want you to be pleased with the results right away. So they'll put bushes and trees along a house within a foot or two even of the foundation, and they might be 2 feet apart.
Gentlemen, can I just jump in here? We have to take a little break and come right back with our special guest, Phil Getty, who is a hydrogeologist. And boy, I'm learning a lot of stuff along with our listeners. So stand by. We're here on the House Whisperer Show with Jack Milne and our special guest, and we'll be right back.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 30 years. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They have performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. Call 215-295-2030 or 856-853-4224.
As the temperatures gradually rise, so do the odds of all those filthy and unwanted critters invading your home, like rodents, roaches, termites, and flies. Oh my! This summer, if you want to feel safe and secure from a possible creeping, crawling disaster, do yourself a favor and call the exterminating experts at Pest Blaster for all your pest control needs, including tests for radon and mold. Please visit pestblaster.com and you'll be sold. 215-295-5555.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house.
Okay, we're back with Jack Milne and today's special guest, Phil Getty, who is an environmental hydrogeologist. And what a fascinating topic on today's show. So Jack and Phil, let's pick it up where we left off.
Well, thank you, Barry. Phil, for our listeners, what are various ways that if they have questions that they can reach out to you and Boucher and James?
Yeah, they're free to give me a call. I love problem solving with people at 215-345-9400. That's the best way to do it, because emails, a lot of this gets complicated real fast. It's a lot more interesting to speak with people about their specific needs. So, hey, when we took our break there, I was saying about the instant landscaping and planning too close to buildings and too close together, not allowing for what's going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years. One of the things, ironically, today in my office here is they planted, it's a 10-year-old building, they planted bushes right up against the north side of the building, underneath of the overhang, because that's the only place that they have it because of the sidewalk. These poor little plants not only don't get sunlight on the north side, but they don't get any rain, any moisture, because the roof overhangs. So it's bone dry. They died, slow death over 5, 10 years. They finally all died. Well, they came in today and replanted new ones right in the same spot. So these guys, can sometimes make their money putting in bushes, they make money pulling out old bushes. But, think about things and put some of your own thought into things, as well as the interpretation of the landscapers, keeping in mind your long-term interest or the interest of the next guy that buys the property too.
And I always emphasize that, if you're looking at a house, curb appeal is all of about 15 seconds. So you may pull up with your significant other or the realtor, and they're going to turn around and say, do you want to go in this house? And the house inside can be impeccable, but you can't see the house for the trees or the shrubs. So a properly landscaped home will draw your eye to the property, and sometimes if it's so bad, it's going to say, "Nah, let's keep going. Let's check the next house."
Yeah, and the other is maintenance issues. That our landscape architects, often anything that they put in the ground, they try to use local, naturalized, native plants and such, but they also consider how tall will these things get, how wide, so that you don't plant something in front or next to a window, and every year you've got to hack it back, 5, 10 feet. I know I've had English ivy, that stuff grows 10 foot a year, and sure, you can keep it looking nice on the side of the wall, but do you want to be out there twice or 3 times a year pruning these things back?
And I just find with the ivy, it brings everything to your home that you don't want. Birds nesting and spiders and carpenter ants and, plus it holds the moisture to the building. So. Well,
and an important thing, if you want something climbing up a building or against it like that, is an ivy is called a vine with a V as in Victor. There are things like hops that are fun to grow now. You can buy them little starts at some of these places where you buy beer supplies now in the spring, but they're called bines with a B as in Barry, and they don't have the little tendrils that stick on and suck onto the side of the house, and therefore they don't cause as much damage to it. So think about planting things like honeysuckles, climbing honeysuckles, hops, even beans and things, or morning glories and things like that can look nice, but they're not going to just take over and eat the house. When I bought my 200-year-old house, the ivy had gone up the side of the two-story house, across the roof, and was trying to go down the other side of the place. And I took it all out. And there's some pretty big root systems, too, that can cause some damage to your foundation.
Yeah, it's incredible. I did this house in Chester County a number of months ago, and it was the neighbor's house that had the ivy, sticking out a good 2 to 3 feet. And the problem is that it became a passageway for squirrels.
Yeah.
So it was the neighbor's house that was allowing the squirrels to come into my client's house.
Wow.
So ivy is not a good thing, guys. And if you have it, do me a favor and take it down. It can wreak havoc and actually create more negatives than positives.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
How about a simple maintenance thing? How can I keep leaves and seeds out of my gutters?
Boy, as a hydrogeologist, that's the first thing I ask people when they say they have a wet basement is, do you have trees near your house? In other words, are your gutters clogged? And in many a house I've gone to, there are seedlings growing up in the gutters from the leaves and the seeds, and people just can't get up there. Expensive, you can get hurt, all that kind of thing. So one of the things is to keep trees away, and that can be a tough one if you've already got trees. But trimming branches back, I just had a tree surgeon come out and thin my trees around near my house to minimize the amount that get in there. The other, though, is that these leaf guards are really problematic. I know at our Quaker meeting we looked at what we were paying to have people clean our gutters out, and we decided to install the expensive leaf guards so that we didn't have to pay, I think it was like $500 in the spring and $500 in the fall to have guys come out and clean these, rather large building 2 or 3 stories up. That some of them, the ones that seem to work best for me are the ones that are solid metal over the top, and the water kind of wraps around and goes down in the gutter, and the leaves and things kind of flow off the side. The ones with the screens on them or felt kind of stuff, they tend to clog up pretty quickly with all the, not only leaves, but all the flowers, the catkins and the seeds and all that come down. But one thing I learned from a fellow that works on gutters and roof repairs that he recommended, and I had it done, is put the largest diameter gutter you can put on your house. It doesn't look that obtrusive to go from a 4-inch to maybe a 6-inch. The bigger the diameter, and that also holds true with the downspout, the more these leaves then that do get in there just flow down through the gutter and down the downspout. And then at the bottom, don't have it go into the ground. It's wonderful if you can have these underground pipes to take it off to somewhere, but inevitably that underground pipe's going to get clogged up and it's not going to work. So much better to at least have it come out on the ground into some kind of a pit that has a screen on it and then go into an underground pipe if need be so you can clean that pit and screen off. But, yeah, big gutters, big downspouts, maybe those metal type on top, and minimize the trees near it. And it can really save. If you have a wet basement, I can almost guarantee one of the biggest problems is the gutters.
When I replaced my roof on my house, I actually went to the commercial gutters and downspouts, and it makes a tremendous difference. And one of the leaf guards... No, go ahead, Phil.
Well, something to jump in there before I forget is that too often, too, the downspout comes down and ends within a foot of the house, and you might have a little plastic skirt thing at the bottom. Most houses, when the foundations have been backfilled, it's rather loose material. Rarely has it been compacted well, so you get very permeable zone around the perimeter of a house. Is you want to get those downspouts to drain at least 3 or more feet away from the house. And a lot of times it may be a problem if you're trying to mow or you have a sidewalk. I have one place at my end that I lean a 15 or 10-foot long downspout piece up against the other downspout, and I hold it with a wire. And when I know I'm going to get a really bad rain, severe flooding notices, I take that down and connect it to the downspout so that it's dumping about 15 feet away from the house and really gets it over to a slope spot. So consider that, too, as just once in a while hook these things up. But, try not to have the downspout dump right up near the house because it winds up going right back into the house. Same thing with the sump pump discharges. I've seen so many that dump right next to the house and go right back in the ground, and the sump pump just recycles the water around and around.
Yeah, basin water comes from three sources: the roof, the guttering, and the grade.
Yeah.
So and you brought that point up that these downspouts empty right into the corners, and the corners are the weakest part of the foundation because you have the most mortar joints.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Phil, we're bringing up some great points, and believe me, I appreciate it. Well, let me ask you this though: whenever I mulch, I'm getting these little spots that seem to be coming from the mulch. What is that?
I get them I'm looking at my white pickup truck out there that has them on the front from parking here at work, where they put a wood mulch down. They call them shotgun spores. They actually, when it rains and things, these little black spores shoot out from the mulch, and they're tar-like, and they really stick. I even heard somebody scratched them with their fingernails, and it got under their fingernail and caused like a blood poisoning in them. So these things are hard to get off of your car, but they get on siding, and they've caused tremendous damage. There's been lawsuits about this and all sorts of complaints that, they look like little bits of tar spattered all over the side. So if you have a light-colored aluminum siding, fiberglass, it can be a real mess. So the big thing is that they grow in the wood-type mulch, so avoid the wood mulch, which is not a great idea anyhow. It's not best for the plants, but also termites like to eat wood, and you're spreading some termite food around for these guys. So, if you have to, crushed leaves or a finer mulch that's really degraded a lot, that's, no longer really mulch. There's, other things, even stone, you can use fine stone.
Well, on that happy note, we are unfortunately out of time.
So before we let you go, just one more time, how can folks reach out to you?
Yeah, feel free to call me at work here at 215-345-9400. I talk with them about hydro, or our landscape architects here can talk with them about how to design nice plantings around their house that helps them out and enjoy the environment as well.
Next week, we're going to talk on hidden costs within your home that you probably didn't budget for nor count on. So, as it is Sunday, please spend time with friends and family. And once again, I want to thank Phil Getty from Boucher and James for joining the House Whisperer.
My pleasure.
Today.
It was fun.
Thanks to both of you, and tune in again next week for another edition of the House Whisperer Show with professional home inspector Jack Milne. And to listen to previous programs, or if you have any questions, visit thehousewhisperershow.com. I'm Barry Reisman. Thanks for listening to WWDB.
I'll light the fire while you place the flowers in the vase that you bought today.